everyone. Welcome back to another course. Uh, this is called BEGC 103 Indian Writing in English. Uh, these are some of the famous writers in English. Try to identify some of them. I'm sure you can do that. Some of them you have probably also seen as public figures in the recent times. Like if you go straight into this, you can see the likes of Salman Rushdie, Arundhati Roy, Amitav Ghosh, Girish Karnad, right? So we are going to learn a little bit about Indian writing in English. Before we get into the course, we are doing this introductory video so that some things are there that I'll be talking over and over in this course. And it is also good to just indicate those things right off the bat, right? In the beginning itself. So, जिन चीजों की हम इसमें बात करेंगे इस कोर्स में दैट विल प्राइमरीली बी अराउंड कैसे इंडियन राइटिंग जो है इवॉल्व हुई राइट इन इंग्लिश वी हैव रिटन लाइक इंग्लिश टेक्स्ट जो है क्योंकि इंग्लिश जो है ये एक कॉलोनियल लैंग्वेज है राइट प्राइमरीली अगर आप इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस में देखो तो इंग्लिश वोंट फॉल इन दैट इंडियन लैंग्वेजेस में यू माइट हैव द लाइक्स ऑफ हिंदी यू माइट हैव द लाइक्स ऑफ तमिल यू माइट हैव द लाइक्स ऑफ मलयालम you might have the likes of Urdu and so on and so forth, Bengali, Assamese, Marathi, Gujarati, right? Punjabi, so on and so forth. There are many Indian languages, but English, it has evolved to become another Indian language, right? Because of our colonial past, which cannot be negated, we have been influenced by the language of English. And as this is BA English, we are going to read something that our people, let's say Indian people, have written in English to express their uh, artistic endeavors and to express their feelings and sentiments and thinkings about the world, right? So this is the course about that. अब अगर हम इस कोर्स को जैसे मतलब कंस्ट्रक्ट किया गया है उसको अगर देखेंगे हम तो इसमें हमको और समझ में आएगा कि हाउ आर वी ट्रैकिंग डाउन द एवोल्यूशन ऑफ इंग्लिश इन दिस कोर्स राइट सो लेट्स जस्ट गेट टू द सिलेबस ऑफ दिस लेट्स जस्ट मूव फॉरवर्ड सो वी बिगिन विथ अ टेक्स्ट कॉल्ड अ टाइगर फॉर मालगुडी तो मालगुडी का नाम जहां तक मेरे को लगता है आप सबने सुना होगा इट इज अ फेमस फिक्शनल इंडियन टाउन which is created by R.K. Narayan, another famous Indian writer, right? मालगुडी करके एक शो भी आया हुआ है टीवी में और काफी मालगुडी डेज स्वामी एंड फ्रेंड्स एंड अ टाइगर फॉर मालगुडी हियर आल्सो दीज आर फेमसली रिटन इंडियन इंग्लिश टेक्स्ट्स बाय आर के नारायण राइट तो पहले हम इसको पढ़ेंगे अब ये लिखा गया है इन द 1970s राइट बट आर के नारायण जिन्होंने इसको लिखा है उनकी पहली नॉवल आई थी 1936-37 के आसपास तो ही हैज बीन राइटिंग बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस आल्सो ही हैड बीन राइटिंग बिफोर इंडिपेंडेंस आल्सो सो एक जो एवोल्यूशन है हम उसके थ्रू ट्रैक करेंगे जब हम अ टाइगर फॉर मालगुडी को ज्यादा ध्यान से पढ़ेंगे राइट उसके बाद वील गो इनटू द बाइंडिंग वाइन शशि देशपांडे Shashi Deshpande, a female writer, comes in later. And through the binding vine, we are also going to see how the evolution of the English language in India happened in through that, right? क्योंकि जैसा आपको पता भी होगा एक तरीके से शुरुआती दौर में जो इंडियन राइटिंग इन इंग्लिश थी दैट वाज मेनली अ लैंग्वेज एट द हैंड्स ऑफ द अर्बन एलिट राइट सबके हाथों में सबके यूज में ये लैंग्वेज ऑब्वियसली नहीं थी इट वाज नॉट देयर फॉर द पीपल लेट्स से इन द मार्जिन्स इन द विलेजेस राइट इट वाज देयर फॉर educated people who have been educated mostly urban elite right सो शुरुआती समय में वी गेट अ पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू फ्रॉम द urban elite and how it tracks down to a more democratic where we see many people from different strata of the society using the English language, right? आज के समय में अगर हम देखें तो बहुत लोग English language यूज कर रहे हैं. Does not really matter वो किस strata से belong करते हैं या फिर many people are getting educated in English. And another important factor is that since आपकी नेटिव टंग इंग्लिश नहीं है लेकिन आप इंग्लिश में लिखते हैं, तो आपको इंग्लिश में सोचना, आप जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स कॉपी कर रहे हैं या फिर आप जो लिख रहे हैं, क्या वो इंस्पायर्ड फ्रॉम इंग्लिश है या फिर वो इंस्पायर्ड फ्रॉम अदर इंडिजिनस अदर इंडियन टेक्स्ट्स है. तो we'll look at all of these nuances about Indian writing in English, right? In block 3 we are going to do poetry. Right. In this, we are going to read about a few of the eminent Indian poets. Sarojini Naidu. आपने इनका नाम पहले भी सुना ही होगा. Nightingale of India. She was there in the freedom struggle. So we are beginning from there. After that, we get to Nissim Ezekiel. Right. Someone जो हमेशा एक थ्रेशोल्ड पे रहते हैं, बीइंग एन एंग्लो इंडियन, राइट? तो he is to be considered Indian or an Anglo-Indian. How do you consider his identity? But because his writing is inherently about India and from the perspective of India, that is why he is considered as an Indian writer in English. And he has also lived in India throughout, and he's written about India. So another eminent Indian poet, A.K. Ramanujan. We are going to learn about his poems, and finally Kamala Das. Right. Then we, after looking at the poetry, because poetry में भी हम अलग तरह के वो देखेंगे. एक्चुअली इसमें वी विल लुक इनटू पहले फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल में कैसी पोएट्री लिखी जा रही थी, फिर एक आइडेंटिटी बेस्ड, लुकिंग एट एन आइडेंटिटी, हाउ दैट वाज बीइंग रिटन, right, from the perspective of a man, from the perspective of an Anglo-Indian in Nissim Ezekiel, from the perspective of a female in Kamala Das, right? So we are going to look at all those aspects. In short story, that is block 4, first we are going to see an introduction to the short story. Then we are going to look at three texts. First is The Lost Child by Mulk Raj Anand. Now, Mulk Raj Anand is one of the forefathers of the Indian English novel, right? Although he didn't write the first Indian English novel, but the primary three writers that came in post independence and who changed the course of the Indian English novel, Mulk Raj Anand is definitely to be considered one of them, along with R.K. Narayan and Raja Rao. Right, these three. In Unit 3, we are going to read about The Other Women by Deena Mehta. And finally, in Unit 4, we are going to look at Swimming Lessons by Rohinton Mistry, someone who is a diasporic Indian writer, right? तो diaspora मतलब roots उनके India में है, लेकिन he has moved abroad. So how do we see that point of view? So this is going to be the whole course, how we are going to follow it. And when we are done with this course, you will definitely have an idea कि जो English को Indian writings में कैसे देखा जाता है, and how have Indian writers adopted the language, the colonial language, to their own use to express something that they from a very Indian point of view, not from the English point of view. और finally एक question भी हमारे सामने आके खड़ा होगा कि is Indian writing in English, has it been able to separate itself from its colonial past, or have we tried to imbibe that, कि उसको हम अपने अंदर एक we have tried to imbibe it and nurture it more and then take it away from England? What are we trying to do with Indian writing in English? We'll get to know about that also by the end of the course, right? So that's it. Let's begin the course. After this, I am going to give you an overview of Indian writing in English, right? The Indian novel, the Indian English novel, और लोग कैसे लिख रहे हैं Indian English novel in block 1, unit 1, right? And in that, I'm going to give you an overview of primarily all the novelists from the beginning to a very contemporary era, right? So, looking forward to all of that, looking forward to begin this course. On that note, let's end this video and let's embark upon this interesting course called BEGC 103 Indian Writing in English. Thank you.